Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Disco Kitty, the Crappy Crafter. Today I am opening Smart Art / NerdECrafter's Not Another Crap Kit craft kit. I'm very excited. Jackie is the queen of unboxing craft kits and giving her brutally honest opinion about them, which is part of the reason why I decided to finally get this YouTube channel going. It's been in the works for like 6 months at this point, and I finally got it off the ground. Today we will be playing with her Not Another Crap kit. I'm very excited. I've had it for 2 days. I haven't been able to touch it because it's been Labor Day weekend and I work in retail, and, well, I work in retail. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, let's jump right into this. I am super excited because I have been waiting for this box for 3 months. It's been a long time. I'm very excited. The box by itself is super pretty, and I'm super excited about all the stuff that's inside. And I have watched all of the spoilers that I can find, so I know what's in here. Oh, the book is bent. That's okay. All of this stuff. Stickers. Paint palette, stabby tool, funnel. Armature wire, a little travel bowl that we'll use to mix up the plaster, paint brushes, craft knife and a measuring cup, the UV light, no batteries, sanding stick, ball styluses with silicone tips, epoxy scope, molds, red paint, UV resin, and iridescent glitter, bacon bond, spatula, stir sticks, the Sculpey, rubber bands, and the mold that they go with. This mold feels really heavy duty. I'm super excited to play with it. It just feels solid. The casting compound, super easy to use. The paints, a cutting mat, double-sided, super cute. Let's really look into this now. Oh look, the first bad sign. It doesn't line up in the middle. The mold does not line up inside. That's gonna be fun. Time to start measuring everything out. Got the compound. It's very, very fluffy, like flour. I have seen numerous people trying to use this and it just fluffs everywhere. Gotta be gentle with it. Tip it into your bowl. Don't just dump it. It'll floof everywhere. Now for the water. I love that the measuring cup has different measurements on both sides. And for this I'm gonna be quiet. Yeah, that was nice. That was very satisfying. What say you? Got our milky consistency. Gotta remember, don't stick your funnel in the hole. Just kind of tip it in just a little bit. That way the air can come out. Well, most of the air. It'll still catch some air, always. Blub, blub, blub. Jiggle the mat, or as I found, drumming on the table actually helped a lot. I didn't drum the second one that I made, and it had so many more air bubbles. Really big ones, too. Oh, look at how satisfying that is up close. Now to take off the bands. This has been sitting for an hour and a half, I think it was. It was still very warm. So nice and warm. Oof, look at all those little tiny bubbles. I had a little bit of an issue trying to get her right arm out of the mold, and I've seen that happen with a couple of different YouTubers, one of which actually broke her arm getting her out of the mold, which was kind of sad, but she goes back together pretty well. time to shave off the flashing and then remove the dust so it doesn't keep the polymer clay from sticking. Now it's time to break into that Sculpey. I haven't used this version of Sculpey before, although like I will say a dozen times I'm sure, I haven't used polymer clay in a really long time. Since there's no rolling pin, I'll have to use the knife. It had the most consistently sized handle out of everything in the kit. Now keep in mind, while I do have a plan for this, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna lay sheets of polymer clay all over this little girl until I figure it out. Using some of the new tools here, I really like them. I mean, I have a lot of ball styluses or dotting tools or whatever you want to call them, but I really like this flat-edged rubber stylus. Look at how cute she's becoming already. Time to work on that shirt collar. Remember to use Bacon Bond on everything. It'll help it stick. I was actually really surprised at how sticky and goopy it was already straight out of the bottle. It was nice. Easy to use. I also later used it to fill in some of the bubbles on her chest so she wasn't so dimply. Oh, time for the belt. I know it looks awful, but I have to make sure her tail hole is available to accept her tail later. Making a little tiny belt buckle here. It's time to measure out her eyes. I'm going to be disappointed with these later because they're going to be too big, too bulbous because of the shape of her head and the fact that she leans forward. I can't build out her snoot to recess her eyes at all, so she's going to have a very flat face. Here I'm using some of the new paints, the black and the gold, and I will also use some of the iridescent glitter liquid stuff, which is really pretty. Here we're going to put on some ears because cats need ears. I have to say this flat rubber stylus came in so handy. I use it so much throughout the course of making this little girl. I didn't really know what to do with the inside of the ears, so I used the pointy tool to kind of feather some clay to make it look like she has furry inner ears. Here I'm just smearing clay all over her to try to level out her complexion, try to get rid of some of the bubbles and divots. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to give her pants or a skirt, so I went with the easy way and I went with a skirt. Using a silicone tool to give her skirt little wrinkles, putting holes in the belt, and the eyes. They're not bad. I scratched one of them. I'm going to bake this before I give her her eyelids. Oh, she's so nice and warm out of the oven. I felt if I didn't bake her eyes on, then they would constantly move while I was trying to adjust her lids. One thing I have learned from other YouTubers is to save your progress. When you're working with polymer clay, you can bake it more than once. Bake it as often as you can. Tell me she doesn't look like Wilford Brimley. Big ol' stash. Okay, at this point I've baked her like 3 times. This is day 2 or day 3, I don't remember, and in the middle of the night I realized part of the reason why her face looked so horrible is because I didn't give her eyebrow ridges. So that's what I'm doing now. With that flat silicone tool, so freaking handy. So flat. Her face is so flat. I'm so sorry, baby. Oh, time to start getting that tail ready. I did bake her after the eyebrow ridge, so don't worry about that. I'm not smushing her face. Oh look, her tail fell off in the oven. It was the one and only casualty in this whole thing, which was good. I just needed to put more clay on her butt. Her tail is still fragile, and it has cracked in a couple places, but I'm the only one that's going to see it, so that's okay. Here we're going to add some little toes to her little feet. This is a latex masking solution. You can paint over it and then pull it off. It's really super handy. I used to use it when I did nail stamping art. I'm going to spray paint her with a primer. I'm going to use this handle that I got from Etsy, stick it in the box. It works really well. I'll leave the link. Ugh. Had some issues. I dropped her. I touched her a lot. I put on way too much spray paint, and she's just... I'll have to put another layer on later after she dries. And I will spray paint her eyes when I do it. It's very frustrating. But we will pray, and we will make things good. Using the knife to roll out a base, I figure if I super glue her to a base, she'll stop falling over. I'm using the base that I have blue tacked her to as a size comparison because it seemed to work really, really well. Here I'm using my own silicone tools because I didn't feel that the tips were small enough to do the little tiny lines that I wanted to do. Putting my initials in the bottom. That'll become a dance floor later. Sure, she doesn't want to come off the base now, but she fell off it earlier. This nail glue is super old and super gooey. It used to be much more liquid, but it worked for the purposes. Now we're going to paint all the white parts white, paint the black parts black, get ourselves a little tuxedo kitty, just like the channel cat. I'm still trying to use that little tiny brush that came with the kit, even though it is slightly frayed and just obnoxious and kept leaving little bits of paint where I didn't want it. Next we'll use a toothpick to get all the crud that's left over in her eyes. And then we'll start painting the highlights or the accents of Kitty's outfit, the purple on the white, and a little bit of gold. I tried to make her top glittery. I added iridescent glitter to the white. Yeah, that didn't work. It still looks white. I wanted to make it different from the white of her fur though, and it just wasn't enough. Here I'm gonna paint the lines in between the dance floor squares. Here I'm gonna paint the dance floor squares themselves. I'm actually going to paint these 3 times. 2 layers on the first one of just plain color, and then 2 more spots of slightly lighter color to make it... I tried to make it look like it was lit from underneath. I don't know how well that worked, but it's okay. We'll do that for 3 different colors, the primary colors. I didn't want to paint the squares before I glued her down because I didn't want to glue her down to the paint. What I should have done was mark where her feet were going to be and then paint around them, because painting underneath her skirt was a real hassle. I also didn't get to paint her underneath her skirt either, so her legs aren't the right color if you sneak a peek in underneath. Now it's time to do touch-ups everywhere. And I tried to give her an underlit look because the dance floor is supposed to be lit. You know, it's a disco. But I didn't water down the paint. I tried using the fan brush, and it just didn't work. I tried blending it out with some of the white paint, but it still looks splotchy and gross. Here I'm testing out the colors on a piece of paper, you know, while she dries. It's certainly pretty paint, but I don't know if it's something I'd go out of my way to buy. And yes, I did test white on white. Time to give her a nice clear matte coat. Don't want her to be shiny. And now it's time to finish the dance floor. We're going to do that with a little bit of UV resin, make it very, very shiny. Not that you will be able to tell because I won't be able to get the light in just the right spot so that you can see how shiny it is. It is so shiny though, it's pretty. And yes, the floor is allowed to be shiny, but the kitty is not. What kitty is shiny? Well, that took a while. It's been almost a week since I got the kit, and it's been about 5 days since I started creating her. And of course I couldn't work on her while I was working, at my real job, so I could only work on her while I was on my days off. But I think she came out pretty well. She could be better. She could be a lot better. But you know what? Maybe this time next year, I'll make her again. And we'll see how far I have come. You're gonna have to tell me when it's time to do her again. Because, I'm gonna forget. But I think she came out pretty well. I do. The whole kit was, it was pretty okay. Alright, let me put her away. Put her down. Put her away. And knock all this stuff off my stuff. I have so much stuff. Editing note, if you think that's a lot of stuff, you should see the rest of the room. She's so little back there. And she go get blocked by my head. I think that'll do. Alright, so I made a list while I was making this. Here's what I do like about the box. It does come with nearly everything you need to make a project. You do have to supply your own water, and that's fine. The tools seem pretty straightforward, and I like them. They're good tools. They are. I like the rubber nibs, and I like the ball stylus. Is that what you call it? There are lots of instructions, even video ones that I didn't watch, and I should have, and I probably will someday, but not right now. The quantity of the paint colors is very nice. We'll talk about them more later, but the quantity of colors is very nice. The Polymer Clay, it was pretty easy to work with and pretty easy to learn how to use. I haven't used Polymer Clay in a really long time. I'm not sure how long, but it worked pretty well. It seemed to be pretty beginner friendly. I liked it. The brushes are okay. I have used better. I have certainly used worse. The littlest one frayed straight out of the packaging. I was not happy with that, but what are you gonna do? The casting compound was super simple to use, wicked easy to use. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's just done. The compound, when cured, I should have mentioned this earlier, is very easy to shave and cut with a knife, which leads us into the cons. The cons are, starting with the plaster, or the compound, is very easy to shave and cut with a knife. So it's very easy to be nicked. If you don't have very precise control over your knife while you're trying to shave off the excess anything, and let me tell you, I made a second one. The inside of the mold didn't line up. The outside of the mold was fine, so it didn't leak anywhere, but the inside of the mold didn't line up. So this arm, and I should have left it, but I wanted to see how well it was easy to cut it off. But you can see here there's a lot of knife marks, and that's because she had plaster or compound all the way up to here. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it was significant. She looked like she had some kind of weird sleeve on or something. And then this section here, right in here, was completely filled in. And then there's the bubbles. I didn't, do the little drumming on the table that I did with the first one. So there are so many more bubbles. But that's just something that I'm going to have to figure out as I work with it. But, her poor little head. Speaking of her head, she is wicked top heavy. She's wicked top heavy. Her feet aren't flat. She has a ridge. She never falls backwards. It's always forwards. Why? Oh, I made her fall backwards. But okay, can you see the ridge on her feet? Probably not. It's probably too... Oh, there. It's where the mold doesn't line up. Plus her head has as much, if not more, just in her head as her whole body. I don't know what you could have done differently, but she is so top heavy. I had to give her a base. I was hoping that the tail that I made for mine would counterbalance the head and how forward she leans, but it didn't even in the slightest. Part of that is because I hung something off the front of it. Maybe a second mold, a simple coaster mold, just a plain coaster mold would have been good, because then she could have had a base instead of half-assing the base that I made for her. So, I don't know, maybe that's an idea for another time. Let's see, a rolling pin. I would have really liked to have a rolling pin. I have one now, I bought it with another kit. The figurine, when made with the included casting compound, sweats for hours. I was under the impression that it would be completely cured in 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, but she was still sweating out her feet 72 hours later. 3 days later, I could set her on my counter or on my table. I would set her on the table and I'd leave her there for a couple minutes, and then I'd pick her up and there would be wet spots. And that's just, that was just a thing, I guess, that I wasn't expecting. I'm really happy I didn't completely cover her in polymer clay, because I imagine that would have made her like pop in the oven. Definitely would have broken in the oven if I had completely covered her in polymer clay. She wouldn't have had anywhere to allow the steam to go. But, it's a thing. The paint seemed very thin and streaky, all of it. Except for maybe the black. The black was okay, but it was pretty streaky too. It wasn't as thick as I was led to believe it was. It even says that it's a light-bodied acrylic. So, I don't know what I was expecting, but a lot of people were really super jazzed, especially about that purple. The purple. Can we talk about the purple for a second? The purple is beautiful, and I understand that you wanted it because you really liked it, and you felt others would really like it, and I really liked it. I love the purple. But it doesn't match the others. Why add one metallic sheen color when the rest are flat? All of the colors of the rainbow, and the brown, and the white, and the black, they were all flat. But the metallics were purple and gold. I'm totally cool with the gold being metallic. Gold should be metallic. But that's just my own personal opinion, my own personal beef. You know, not everything is perfect, as it were. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that this kit turned out really, really well. Props to Jackie for putting in all of the hard work, the research, trying to find everything, trying to make sure everything works, and just everything. I know it was a lot of hard work, and with all of the crap that you're going through in real life, I really got to give you props, and I'm really happy that you were able to make this epic, awesome kit for all of us to play with. Thank you, and thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being such an awesome person. Thank you for being an inspiration. You are an amazing person, and I hope that you just keep on crafting. Thank you, Jackie. So, now that everything is said and done, thank you for visiting. I hope you come again next week. Until then, stay safe. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Disco Kitty, the Crapper Crafter. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes. Alright. Well. Jesus Christ. So hard. Well, that was a okay. Thud. Alright. It's time to cut off all the flashing and look at how it looks chic. I'm got a kitty. Hi. Yeah? Oh, come on over. Come here. I know, I'm talking, and I'm not talking to you. Oh, here's our snuggle love for the day. Oh, snuggle love for the day. Oh. Oh. Yes, I cleaned my table. Abbycat. Abbycat. Come here. Abbycat. My baby. Oh, you're so tiny. Oh. You want to show the people online how tiny you are? You're so little. Oh. Oh. Oh, my little tiny baby. Yes. Oh, yes. Little baby. Look how beautiful that face is. This is Abbycat. She is much tinier than her brother. She's much more delicate. She beats the crap out of them all the time. Oh, yes, of course. Right? I mentioned earlier I cleaned my table. Well, yes, they're very excited. Now I'm covered in cat hair again. Thanks! That was really good of you. Oh, baby, you're so good.